Ba 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 ba. Hey now, ModzvilleUSA here, back with another video. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit unique, a little funky, a little fresh, and we're going to be installing a GDEMU, one of the clones all over eBay, AliExpress, Amazon, anywhere. We're going to be installing a GDEMU into a version 0 VA0 Dreamcast. Now I know what you might be thinking if you're in the know. Hey, you're not supposed to install a GDEMU in one of those. This drive runs at 5 volts. The GDEMUs are only rated for 3.3. You're going to damage your GDEMU. And to that I will say, oh, I guess this drive is fine. We're going to be doing a modification to make it safe to run a GDEMU in a version 0. We're going to mount it nice and proper, and we'll show you a few little techniques along the way, how to get this fan quieter. And yeah, thankfully one of the Dream Shell developers did a post showing us how to do this, and it just requires replacing a couple of resistors. Now I'll have the parts linked down below. I got them from a place called arrow.com, but I'll have you can also get it on Mouser or DigiKey. Just at the time of making this, they were back ordered on all of those, but Arrow, I got them within a week, so I'll link it up as well as the part number. Get it where you can. And it is, let me show you what we're working with. So these are 100 ohm resistor packages. So these are a package of it's like 4-in-1 100 ohm resistors, and we're going to be replacing 7 packages on the Dreamcast motherboard. There's 6 in a cluster, and then 1 on the other side of the board. Now let me show you the thread we're looking at here. So this is the Obscure Gamers thread, and it starts with somebody coming up with a solution, and then Megavolt popping in saying that's not a good solution. It's the better thing to do is treat this similar to an EverDrive essentially, and just add some resistors. I don't know all the ins and outs of here, but I'm gonna trust Megavolt 85. They know what the hell they're doing. And we got the 6 resistor clusters right here. There's 1 on the other side of the board, and let's see, it is these are what we are replacing: RA507, 509, RA510, 13, 14, and 25. So we're going to find these on the board. We're going to start with the one that's on its lonesome, and then the rest are just in a nice little bundle there. So let's get to back to the motherboard. Okay, so just a neat little trick here. There's no knock to a fan mods for the VA0, and if you follow me on Twitter, if not, go do that, because I've been more active there than I have been on YouTube. You know that I think the knock to a fan mods are snake oil for the most part anyway. All you need to do is grease up the OEM fan, and you'll see worlds of improvement, especially on these VA0 ones. So we're just gonna remove these 2 screws. Okay, so we got this. We got the fan out here. Now we're gonna remove the sticker on the back. Okay, and as you can see, we got this little ball bearing exposed. I'm gonna come in here. I like to use this Lucas white lithium grease. works like a charm. Little dab will do ya. And you're gonna have a nice and quiet fan. Now you can also come in on this side, give one more little dab, get her all greased up. Try to go sparingly, and then sometimes I come in, clean up the excess with a Q-tip, and it wouldn't hurt to get the dust out while you're in here. It was that simple. And you put it back together, and you got a quiet ass fan. Let's carry on with the resistor packages. Okay, so we're gonna start with this guy right here. This is the one that's out on its lonesome, and it's on the top side of the board. Here's where the gdrom plugs in. There's your BIOS RA525. So I'm going to rotate it so I can actually hit it with my soldering iron. There we go. And these are super, you don't need a hot air workstation to do this at all. These are actually incredibly easy to remove. You just flood one side with solder, and it'll come right up. Just like this. There we go. It's that simple. I'm going to take my desoldering wick too while I'm in here. I'm going to add a little bit of flux. Baboosh. And we'll come on in. Just clean this up. That looks good. Works much nicer when you're not mixing up different types of solder. Okay. Now let's remove the rest. Alright, so here's the back side of the board. We're going to focus on these 6 packages right here. Pop, 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 pop. It's a nice little cluster. Got it zoomed out for you, so it makes it a little easier to locate. And then we're going to... There we go. Nice and focused. So same thing over here. I'm just going to flood this and remove them. That's about it. And one thing I believe I forgot to mention, you're going to want to be aware that once you do this, you will not be able to use the disk drive anymore. This is straight up committing to installing a GDEMU or a Gdemu clone. The disk drive will not get the juice it needs. We are reducing the juice, and yeah, this is no more disk drive. This is for a GDEMU conversion. And we'll flux this up. Alright. That looks pretty good. Okay, cool. And now we're going to replace all 7 packages with our new resistor pack. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll do one on camera, and then it's going to be the same process for each. So it's let's go ahead and get one sorted out. So you're going to need some tweezers. Come on in here. Get it nice and tweezed up. And I want to get my new tweezers. We want to get this flush. I'm actually going to use my iron to push it down, make sure it's good. We're just going to lock it in. Alright. Flip it around. Alright, this actually is surprisingly shitty to do on camera. So I got one side locked in. We're just going to come with the other side here. Just drag it up. Cool. And be careful when you're dragging like that, because you can easily flow it off the board just heating one side. That is how we removed it, if you do recall. So I'm gonna go through and get all of these done, and I'll see you when we are done. Just make sure once you get them all in, you're gonna want to come in here and really inspect them and go over anything that doesn't look fully connected. You want a solid joint on all 8 of those pads. So I want to get that done. I want to inspect my work, and I'll see you guys when I'm done. Alright, so I got them all soldered up. Here's the one on the other side by the BIOS chip. Just want to make sure, just peek it, go over it, take your time, and make sure all those joints are solidly connected. And on the back side here, we got these 6, and I got them all facing the same way, but these are resistors. That's not necessary. I just think it looks a little bit cleaner, but you can get away with having these rotated. So that's it. Let's piece it back together and install the GDEMU and go over a few more little maintenance things to do while we're in here. Okay, so I've reassembled it. I've attached my GDEMU just to test it. Everything's working perfectly fine. Now I've already gone ahead and done some maintenance here. We swapped out the the fuse, the original fuse here, for the controller port with the self-healing fuse. Did the battery battery holder mod here, and we also did the more recent, as in like the past year or two, the newer Voultar diode mod here, where we got the diode and the resistor. Go check out Voultar's Ultimate Dreamcast video for 2020, I believe it was, where he goes over this mod along with the parts, if you don't already know what's going on. It just makes it so you can use a standard CR2032 battery as opposed to the LR rechargeable batteries, which are more expensive. And yeah, this just makes it way more convenient and cheaper to replace. So that is that. The only other thing maintenance wise worth mentioning here is always take some rubbing alcohol, hit a Q-tip, and scrub the hell out of these pins. Poor connections on these can cause all sorts of issues, like the game's freezing, the Dreamcast resetting, stuff like that. It's a very common issue with these, so just go over it real well, give it nice and clean. You can even introduce more solder to it if you wanted to. If you wanted to come in here and just cake them up a little bit, add some solder. I don't usually like going that route. I like to just get them nice and clean. Just clean them up, and you should be fine. Alright, so I'm going to be installing this GDEMU tray doodad mount here. This one is from Laser Bear. Fairly common design you see out there, where the GDEMU is just going to mount and be stationary within here. Now, there's two things worth noting. Is the bases for these are designed for VA1s. Hopefully, if doing this mod to VA0s catches on, maybe someone will design a mount for VA0s, as they are different. So in order to get this one to work out, we're going to need to make a few adjustments. One is we got to trim this little nub here. So I'm going to take my flush cuts. Just do your best. Trim this fucker. And there it goes. It went flying. And the only other issue here is everything lines up. The top's going to line up. Every other screw hole lines up except for this one. It's a little higher for the VA1s, so we're going to get this in, we're going to get this situated, but unfortunately the only way around it is we're going to need to, at least for the time being, with the wrong sizes, the bottom piece here is going to need to be hot glued. So I'm going to be hot gluing that, just so otherwise it keeps popping up. So install the GDEMU into the mount, get everything screwed in as much as you can, except for the one that doesn't screw in. Give it a test, make sure it's booting properly, and if all is good, unplug everything and hit it with some hot glue. So I'm going to get that done and show you how it's looking. Okay, so everything's completely assembled here. Tested, everything's booting up, working just fine. But here's what I'm talking about with the screw not lining up. Obviously, if we wanted to get one that's working, like the bottom mount designed for V0, it's got to come down a little bit further. But in the meantime, see the little floppy here? So what I'm going to do is just push it down like that, add a little dab of hot glue right there. I'm probably going to remove the power supply and just get a nice little line going up there, just so it's secure, it's not moving around, stays situated, because we don't want a floppy GDEMU in our Dreamcast. So we'll get that done and show you how it looks. Alright guys, so this is a here we go, it's done. All it needs is for the lid to be put back on. As you can see in there, got one little dab of hot glue over there. Got a nice little line going up the whole length of the bottom mount, and this ain't going anywhere. If I'm tapping on it, boots up perfectly fine. So yeah, that's how you safely use a GDEMU or GDEMU clone in a VA0 console, which is super duper handy, especially for those of you like myself who buys lots from Japan. These VA0s may not be very common in the States, but if you get lots from Japan, it's about 50% of the consoles. So yeah, very nifty information. Shout out to MegaVolt85 for posting this very handy information in the Obscure Gamers thread. And also, hopefully, if one of you guys is good with designing 3D printed parts, I'd really appreciate it. The community would appreciate it if somebody designed a mount that's capable for a GDEMU working in in one of these bad boys. So yeah, leave a like if you like the video, spread it around, get the word out there. that these VA0s have become significantly more useful. And yeah, it just takes a little bit of elbow grease. Anyways, Modzville signing out. See you guys later.